Welcome back. My name is Matt Reiners, and I'm the co-founder of Eversound, a company dedicated to improving quality of life for older adults by giving them the gift of hearing. Today, I'm joined by my good friend, Nick Nemer, the vice president at LifeLoop. I've gotten to know Nick over the years as we've been on the same conference circuit. I probably have seen him more than some of my own family members. But Nick is one of the good ones, and we've really built a friendship and relationship over the last few years, and I'm just grateful to have him on today. So thanks for joining me today, Nick.
I mean, much appreciated. Always happy to talk with my good friend, Matt. As he stated, we probably met, 5 years ago? I think
something like that.
In Nashville, I believe, is where we first met. And I did have hair at that point, and then I wanted to be cool like Matt, so I decided to go away from it.
Yeah, I think if anything, we just have a support club of fellow bald guys within senior living. So if you want to join our club, just reach out and we can make it happen.
Free.
Awesome. So Nick, getting to know you over these years, I can definitely just tell how passionate you are in terms of the senior living industry and how passionate you are in terms of like working with your partners. And I'm curious, like, where does this passion come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think, this industry's super special to all of us, right? I mean, my first real encounter with it was probably like most with grandparents that were, in communities back in Nebraska. So, my own grandmother had dementia. We were, super close, and basically I moved out to Chicago, families in Omaha. And you really kind of saw how quickly you can lose touch with somebody because of that. And it's just it's super unfortunate. And you see it across, all these communities with different families. And, with LifeLoop, I think one of our main goals is to how do we curb some of that, right? How do we get information to people to really create that peace of mind to really enhance not only that resident life through connection, but all parties, right? I mean, that's the family members, that's the staff, and creating that kind of experience for everybody just brings everything kind of to that next level. And I mean, I think, I had not worked in this industry prior to LifeLoop. So my background was more on the healthcare IT side of things. And what I quickly, have been able to see throughout, through building LifeLoop with all of our team is just the passion of this industry is different than anywhere else, right? People get into this industry for the right reasons. And those that probably don't last very long, right? And I think it's just so cool to talk with our partners, at the community level, our vendor partners, I mean, I think it's the one thing that we connect on, right? Is that we're here to really help those folks that we're out to help. Things are tough. Things were really tough throughout COVID. And I think, bringing everybody together to just help for the greater cause and help these residents is just so cool, and something that, again, you just don't see. I was just talking prior to this, right, about going into these communities, and I think everybody's so excited to be back in these communities in person to see that energy that's going on. I think all of the staff that has been through this, that's been through these hard times over the last couple of years, that have worked, 80, 120 hour weeks because people have been out sick, taking care of our loved ones. And now walking in and seeing the doors open and, giant smiles on everybody's faces. It just, it gives you that renewed energy to come and do what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always those communities where the vibes are just like amazing. And you could just tell that like people enjoy being there and the residents enjoy being there. And one of the things you had mentioned, right, is like the ability of us to kind of help support some of those heroes on the front lines or some of those home office for some of our provider partners. And I think, we've really bonded over our philosophy of when it comes to that. And I know we were talking before this idea of like a vendorship versus a partnership. So I'm wondering, like, what your view is it as a technology vendor, right? Let's be real, that's what we are. But, how do you go about or think about helping to support some of those that are working within the communities?
Yeah. I mean, I think, it is a partnership, right? And, I think you've said it best. We're an extension of their day-to-day business. We are not providing just a piece of software, a platform, right? We are a customer service company, that provides help, that provides a platform that can help. And I think when you look at your partners in that way, as you being that extension of their business, you being part of their business to help them on every level, I think it changes the dynamic. And it really is, for the benefit of, in the end of the day, we're in a business here. We have to, there's things that we have to do. But, if you look at it from that light, and especially in this industry, and looking at doing things for the right reasons to truly help, that you just see this different connection with your partners. And it's the number one thing that I like to look at when I'm starting to even talk or, quote unquote prospect is, what is the reason why you're looking at doing this, right? What is the reason why you want to even explore LifeLoop? And it's for all those reasons, right? They want to be more transparent with family. They want to give their staff more time to spend with their residents, which is why staff gets into this. They don't get in this to document and chart and do all this, behind the scenes admin stuff. And so whenever we can help do that, and alleviate, some of those pain points, and you see the benefit then that it does have on, the residents' family and staff. I mean, you walk into those communities, like you said, and it's like, gosh, this is why we do this. And this is what gets you so excited to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I've seen some other technology vendors are kind of in this mindset of like, it's all about me, right? It's all about us as the company, but like really it's not about us. It's about how we help the community group be more successful. We are a tool in their tool belt. They've got multiple tools, whether it's Eversound, LifeLoop, something else, right? And like, how do we bring their mission front and center and help bring their vision alive, right? Because their success is our success, and whatever we can do to promote that. And I'm sure you do the same thing. Like, there's people that we don't necessarily are Eversound partners, but I tell them, right, like, hey, I'm a resource, I'm an ally, I'm a friend. If there's anything I can do to help get you guys to the next level, that's what I'm here for, even Eversound aside. And I think, when you think of sales today, I find that's like rare, which I think is it's good though, because I think we should all be into this together in terms of pushing it forward.
I mean, and I think we've seen that, right? So out of COVID, where, this industry really has kind of banded together. We're, for lack of a better term, a support group for each other, right? After everything that's kind of gone on. And, I think you and I have done, a number of panels, and we get kind of a lot of people that want to get on and discuss these things. And it's not it's not a sales tactic. It's not like we're driving this. It's people want education of what others are doing. People want to know what best practices are out there. People want to feel that, hey, like, I'm not in this alone. Like, this isn't just a pain point that I have. We're seeing this across the industry or whatever it is. And there's people that can help me. And, we're all, again, running businesses and whatnot, but these different organizations, operators, management companies, et cetera, they have best practices. They'll share them with others. Cause at the end of the day, they're in this to help seniors, right? That's what we're all here to do, to help those residents. And again, I think it's just a super special industry because of those reasons.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point in terms of people like willing to share their notes and kind of like let people behind the scenes. Cause yes, we've, moderated panels for each other, we've partnered and done some stuff like that. We're still waiting to do the panel on like best hair practices, but maybe that's coming up. So
you're the best shine.
Yeah. You've got a nice shine. I gotta say, the lights here are definitely bouncing off mine. But is there anything you've been like either pleasantly surprised by in terms of like moderating these panels and people willing to kind of let it all out there? I think
that's the whole thing, that when we kind of we decided during COVID that, hey, we should just start hosting some of these things. People have kind of this appetite, and we didn't really know what sort of things were going to happen or what people wanted to share. And I think it was very surprising to see, again, that compassion, not only for the folks that work with them or for them, but for the industry in and of itself. I think that openness, that willing to share those best practices and help alleviate some of those, the struggles that folks are having during that time and continue, coming hopefully out of COVID. It was so cool to see. Right. Yeah. And I think it just brought everybody closer together in this industry. And I think, as we look at like new folks coming into this industry, got to sit back and talk to them and say, hey, you have to look at this for the right reasons, or else you won't be able to last in this industry, in my opinion. Right. I mean, like it's so important, and people, again, are just so passionate that, we're out here to help. And I don't really know how else to say it. It's so cool to see. And I think we just saw that, elevated so much more throughout the past few years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all in the same storm, but different boats, right? And how can we really just all band together to continue to help? Because I mean, I think too, what I've seen, this openness to share, because yes, they might be thinking they're competing with the place down the street, but really they're competing with the home, right? Like 92% of people that could live in senior living are just living at home. So, it's great to see people, this willingness to share. And, I always like to compare senior living as like, it's a business, but with soul. And you could really do like any business function, right? Like, especially on the senior living side, whether it's sales, marketing, operations, finance, clinical, there's really anything there, but it's just a really unique opportunity to continue to deliver those stories and deliver that quality of life.
I mean, I completely agree. I like that. It's a business with soul. The other cool part about this industry, I think, is that you see so many folks, there's such an opportunity to basically, move to the next level within this industry. It's like, you see so many folks that started out as, CNAs, as life enrichment directors that are now, running huge organizations. Right. And that happens because of that passion, right? Because of their ability to problem solve, to help these folks. And you just don't see that anywhere else. Right. And I think it's so cool and such a unique opportunity. And, I think the media probably hasn't helped senior living over the past few years. And I think it's on us to kind of tell those stories, to, the unbelievable stories that have happened and that do happen within senior living. Because I think part of that is, how do we get more people into this industry? Right. And it's our job to do that. It's our job to tell that story. And I think one of the big things, especially as we, hear about all the staffing issues and things like that, is that ability for advancement quickly in this industry, based on really compassion. And I think it's super unique, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool to see. And I think, I didn't know about senior living before really coming into it, and felt like I found home, right? And found my place, and found, just a really unique opportunity to create a business and do some good around it. And just, continue to put a spotlight on those amazing people and their stories, which is kind of the inspiration to start this little interview series here. Yeah. But Nick, final question for you. If you could just kind of give senior living providers or other tech vendors just like words of wisdom or words of advice as they kind of think through the next year, what would you say to them?
I mean, I think that, two different parts of this. I'd say for technology providers, for, folks that are providing a service, I think it's exactly what you mentioned. I think you have to put yourselves in the shoes of the folks that you are doing business with, that you are partnering with, and really make yourself an extension of their business, that you are a solution that is solving a problem for the betterment of, the resident. And that happens through all different ways, right? It doesn't, I mean, by providing a ton of different services, not just things that you and I do, right? I think there's a lot of different pieces. I think for those folks on the community side is just to know that, there's so many good people out there that are willing to help, that are in the same boat as you are. And I think, to go out and talk with people and educate people and listen to these different things that are out there. Because again, I think it's one of the things that we're seeing more and more is that people are willing to tell their stories to help others. And I think that we band together throughout all of this and help to share those best practices that all it can do is elevate senior living to that next level that we're all trying to get it to. You got to answer that now too, right?
Hey, it's my interview. I don't have to answer that. Yeah, I think it from the senior living side, thank you for all that they've done, especially over the last 2 years. I think there's just been this renewed focus on specific positions within the industry and within the community, such as like that life enrichment and activities role and how important that is, because the data has come out around social isolation and how it's taken its toll on people. But I think too, it's just like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to share resources. Life's an open book test. Like, right. There's nothing being done that you can't use your resources on. And just, it's okay to kind of look for ideas, look for inspiration, and just have conversations, build relationships, and do things for the right reasons and do things to help people, not necessarily just help yourself.
Yep. I think that's great. I think that's why we like each other so much, Matt.
Well, I'll drop the mic after my statement there, Nick. But yeah, that's why we get along, despite us kind of just be looking like each other too. So it works out well. But Nick, thanks so much for joining me today. It was awesome having you on, and appreciate your time, energy, and passion that you bring to this space every single day.
Hey, really appreciate it, and appreciate everything you guys are doing and everything everybody out there is doing. So thanks again, Matt. Appreciate it.